Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This edition of Outside the Locker Room, it's your man, the Birdman, and of course, I got the Donna Sports here with me, man. We rocking and rolling on a jam-packed Friday, man. It's in Philadelphia. It's of course it's Made in America weekend. A lot of stars coming into Philadelphia today.
Yeah.
Kendrick Lamar. Meek is a homer, so Meek Mills is here. Nicki Minaj.
Won't be no Cardi B, I don't think.
No Cardi B. She's taking care of the baby. You got Post Malone, so big weekend in Philadelphia. Almost similar to the last big weekend we had was a Super Bowl victory, right?
Yeah.
Parade.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But we're gonna get right into it. We got a lot of news to bring you today. But first and foremost, we're gonna shout out to, of course, TSJ 101 Sports. Check us out on the website www.tsj101sports.com. Check out all your latest and greatest news around the globe. Shout out to CEO Whip. Shout out to all the viewers and all the people that are, of course, making this possible, that we bring it to you live. This is our third episode. Migrating over from Blog Talk Radio into something with a more of a visual effect. So we're going to rock and roll right now. We have some news to tell you. I mean, it's a lot of monies being thrown around in the NFL, man. A lot of guaranteed contracts, man. I guess we start out with Aaron Donald.
Wow.
It's pretty good. He had a pretty huge contract today. $87 million guaranteed? $87 million
Set the
guaranteed.
market, set the record for defensive players. Obviously we know that Fletcher Cox, at that time had a pretty record-breaking deal. We don't know what's going on with the Khalil Mack situation. You got to find out there why they don't, have him under contract. He's only due to make, I think, $13.8 million in the fifth year of his rookie deal. But, this is something that I'm sure if he's watching this, very, very happy, because this set the market, from a guaranteed contract standpoint, and he knows that he is up next. Whether he's paid, ultimately from, the Raiders, which I can't understand this situation and how this is being botched, but he knows that he is going to get paid.
Absolutely.
And so, with that being said, I mean, what an amazing opportunity, for a guy like Aaron Donald, who held out last year, didn't get his money.
That's right.
And held out this year. This is setting a precedent. You have one person on one end, like Odell Beckham. We'll talk getting to that as well. That came into camp, did quote unquote the right thing, and he got his money. And then you had a guy like Aaron Donald who set out, and of course struck a record-breaking deal from a defensive standpoint. So, listen, I mean, there is no one way to do it, and if you have the value and your stock is high, you're going to play to those advantages. Obviously, they did that, and I'm happy to see that he got his deal.
Well, yeah, that's right. Like Donna Sports said, Aaron Donald, one of the many holdouts of the season, along with Khalil Mack, who was yet to get paid. Odell Beckham was the first to start that trend and say, and pretty much said to the NFL, in the beginning, of course, with all his antics on the field, not so much off the field, of course, but on the field, of course, made his name known. That he was unhappy with his contract. I believe he outplayed his contract. I'm pretty sure you believe he outplayed his contract. When you see a guy like Brandon Cooks get paid, who I don't think is on the same level as an Odell Beckham.
Watch it now. He's on my fantasy team.
Well, you were foolish enough to pick him up. It depends on what round it is. Folks, do not get Brandon Cooks in your top 4 rounds. Did you do that?
I did.
You did do that. Oh, well, listen to the Birdman, who has not 1, not 2, not 3, 4 rings. They're dusty rings, but they're rings. All right. But Brandon, I don't have him on the level as Brandon Cooks, so I knew he had to get paid more than him. And when you look at that worked out into Odell Beckham's favor. Brandon Cooks getting paid the way he did, because if he came in and he could have lowballed himself and getting paid first, and Brandon Cooks getting paid a little bit more. It depends on where the value was for the Rams at that time. And now you see the Rams, they get Brandon Cooks. They make I guess you could say a free agent splash and getting Ndamukong Suh. And now they go and they got Marcus Peters.
Yes.
So let's add him.
Don't forget about Aqib Talib.
Aqib Talib, he's there. And now you just play a massive deal to Aaron Donald. I would like to see who's keeping the record there. How much money do they have? Donald Sports, because a record-breaking deal, what is it, 128 million? It was 129 million, 87 of it guaranteed. Very close to someone else who got paid this week, Aaron Rodgers. That's right. He's going to be a Green Bay Packer for life, and he's already won one Super Bowl. We'll see what happens. But he is definitely paid most guaranteed money ever in the NFL. $103 million guaranteed out of 138 for Aaron Rodgers. Well deserved. I really think, and we can get into this, I really think guaranteed contracts should be a trend going in the NFL right now, because your body is on the line, but in every sport, but I think it's more so in here and hockey and different things like that. Their body's more so on the line. There's a higher injury rate of head injuries, which the NFL is trying to do some things to try to correct. I don't agree with the helmet rule. I don't think that helps anything, but at least your pockets will be cushioned pretty well if you play this game. And now you're seeing the players start to move in that direction. Now I'm curious to see how this affects other positions. When you think of positions in the NFL, you think of that take the most abuses: the quarterback, the wide receiver, the running back. So how does that affect the other positions? We have to see. But do you think it was an Aaron Rodgers deal, Don, that set this market, or was it a Kirk Cousins who got a pretty big hefty contract and guaranteed money? What are your thoughts on the way this is trending out for the NFL?
Well, it's no doubt that Kirk Cousins is the one that set this market. Mm-hmm. Going and getting $28 million over 3 years guaranteed from the Minnesota Vikings. A contract that, a lot said that wouldn't get done and never thought would get done. He absolutely set the market, and was groundbreaking, record-breaking for quarterbacks in all positions alike, to be honest. And then rightfully so, we had, I think it was Matty Ice that came right behind him with $100 million guaranteed. And now we have Aaron Rodgers, which is $103 million guaranteed. And I believe the lifetime of the with incentives and other things, the contract could get up to $180 million.
Jesus. Jesus, this is baseball money we're talking about.
This is baseball money that we're talking about. And rightfully so. When you look at what Aaron Rodgers means to this team, they are considered a perennial playoff contender every single year in, year out. Now, when you look at that roster absent of Aaron Rodgers, what do you really see? When you look at this team and how they're constructed, and this is no doubt in my mind why Ted Thompson was forced to step down and he took on another responsibility and role within the organization. But when you look at how this roster's been constructed over the last 10 years, I think it's only been 2 years of the 10 years that they've had a top 10 defense in the NFL.
Good point.
That's egregious when you have a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers. So everybody's looking at the weapons that he's had, and yes, they've transitioned well from Greg Jennings to Jordy Nelson to Devontae Adams. They've had some solid tight ends. Never really a solid running game, but some parts to throw in there. Everybody's looking at the receivers that Aaron Rodgers had with the Randall Cobb and so on. But they've never protected him with a top 10 defense. But the fact that they're considered every year in and year out, a playoff team, that's because of the greatness of Aaron Rodgers. He is, up until this point, the best thrower of the football that I've ever seen. I was watching one of the shows, I believe it was First Things First.
That's your show.
The other day, I like that show. Shout out to Nick Wright and Chris Carter. You guys do it right.
Okay.
You know, and you know, it was Nick Wright that displayed the statistics up there, and Aaron Rodgers, you know, through 10 years, a decade, which I believe he's been the starter for what, 6 years?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Is first in a lot of the statistical categories from a percentage or average standpoint. I believe he was like top 10 all time in yards already in just 6 years. The man averages a 4-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio for his career. Over the last 6 years, you know, Aaron, and I think he has started 10 years, I'm sorry. Over the last 6 years, I think Aaron Rodgers had averages 38 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. Averages.
Okay.
I mean, if he doesn't deserve, if anybody deserves, you know, this type of contract, my point being, I think it's Aaron Rodgers. And I'm glad to see that the deal with Kirk Cousins was able to get done. That certainly set the precedence and set market value for this to happen. Mm-hmm. And now we're going to see, you know, more players as they come up. It only, for you Philadelphia Eagles fans, I mean, what is Carson Wentz in 2 years? What is Carson Wentz's contract going to look like? What is Jared Goff's contract going to look like?
Gosh, you make a good point.
I mean, they're going to back up the Brinks truck. Now, you know...
Well, the jury's still out.
This jury's still out. But there's a good chance that, you know, Carson Wentz may take a little hometown discount because he wants to have some players around him. Listen, I'm not in that man's pockets. I'm not in Aaron Rodgers' pockets. I'm a capitalist to the highest order. Get all that you can. But leave a little bit there, Carson, if you can, for the likes of, an Aguilar, an Alshon.
We need a running back.
Possibly signing a Le'Veon Bell, things of that nature. But this is the type of trend that you're going to see, hopefully, moving forward. And look, and then I know I'm going to turn it back over to you, Birdman, but it's not our job. It's not Aaron Rodgers' job. It's not Carson Wentz's job to figure out the cap. That's the general manager's job.
Correct.
But they're going to get and be paid due what's rightfully theirs. And you have to, this is why you're getting paid the big bucks. You know, if you're Howie Roseman, if you're Ted Thompson, if you're, you know, any other general manager around the league, you have to figure out the cap. Being a capologist, you have to figure out the cap situation and how to fit some other really good players under there. So kudos to all those that are getting this guaranteed dollars, and you're going to continue to see it.
Well put, Don. And for those that are critics, you know, people don't like to give Aaron Rodgers his just due. Now, he has been in the league since 2005. His 13-year career, he has won Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. But let's not forget, he did sit behind one of the greatest quarterbacks in his first 3 years with Brett Favre. Mm-hmm. Came out of the gates, had a pretty good season, threw for 4,000 yards his first season. Mm-hmm. So, is the tread running off the tires? As most people would think right now around this age at 34.
Mm-hmm.
So
34, 35.
So last year he played 7 games. He got injured, broken collarbone. Mm-hmm. 1,600 yards in 7 games, not that bad, not that good. 7 interceptions, didn't look good. Started off 4-3, not a good start to a team that had an injury with Jordy Nelson the year before. Mm-hmm. Offensive line that really has not been put together to protect Aaron Rodgers. But if you look at the year prior to that, 4,400 yards passing. Get this, Don. 40 touchdowns. 7 interceptions. He's only threw double-digit interceptions 2 out of his 13 years. Everything else is single digits. 6, 7, 8, 5, 4. Like,
and of the 13, he started 10, correct?
Correct.
He was behind
Correct.
Brett Favre for 3.
Now, and if you look at the talent level that's going with Aaron, this is where it'd be a little bit concerning, which those who think, don't get confused with the tread running off the tires with something where when a player is not, they're not building around the player. Now, some could say they're not really building to Aaron Rodgers and helping him out. I would agree with that 100%. They threw in a Jimmy Graham, but a Jimmy Graham, and you could stop me here if I'm wrong, throwing in Jimmy Graham right now with an Aaron Rodgers is like throwing a Shaquille O'Neal in the Miami Heat. I mean, they didn't win a championship, though. They didn't win a championship with Shaq. but the contribution wasn't as good. So, with that being said, there is no tread falling off the tires with Aaron Rodgers. You're going to see Aaron Rodgers return to the form that he was as the best quarterback, some would say, in the NFL, if not one, but maybe two. It's the Tom Brady. Now, that's a guy I would say the tread, I think, is falling off the tires a little bit. Not saying he's a bum, not saying that he's back down to earth, or he is still playing out of his mind at his age. But those are the two guys that you're going to see at the top. And Aaron Rodgers was well deserved that he got this this contract. And I'm hoping for the Khalil Mack. We had some news on him, who broke the silence today. Still not in. Well, of course, camp is over. Still has not played a preseason game. Has not took a snap in training camp. Is still a holdout and is threatening to hold out the whole entire season. That you will hope these guys get paid. They took care. Now, the thing that Khalil Mack doesn't have this leg to stand on is. And Don, what are your thoughts about this? Is that the games with him being present there, they still stunk. The defense weren't among the top rankings. Despite his productivity, what would wow the Raiders to try to, the soon-to-be Las Vegas Raiders, what would wow them to actually pay him this kind of money? Now that you see what Aaron Donald makes, is he supposed to make the same thing Aaron Donald makes? Is he that much of a wrecking force on that defensive line? Does he scare you when you go play Oakland?
Listen, man.
Like an Aaron Donald, can he create havoc? Can that man by himself create havoc?
I absolutely believe so. Here's the deal about, the Raiders, I believe, ranked dead last or second to dead last over the last few years in getting pressure applied to the quarterback as well as sacks.
Right.
And that's with, what's his name escapes me right now. Khalil Mack.
Right.
That's what Khalil Mack, being in the top 5 in those statistical categories. So where would this defense be from a pass rush standpoint if he wasn't on the roster? Now, you could argue if they're 31st or 32nd, I mean, you can't really go any further. But I absolutely believe that he should be paid amongst the same, as an Aaron Donald. Now, I get that Aaron Donald is 2 feet away from the quarterback, because of the position that he plays. But Khalil Mack has jumped off my screen every single time. Using the eye test, he's jumped off my screen every single time that I've watched him. And not only that, but Khalil Mack, has been, coming out. It's hard to be a top 5 pick coming out of Buffalo. And the fact that he's
some people don't even know what that logo looks like on the helmet.
Exactly.
I mean, you would think it was Buffalo.
And so to see what he's been able to do in his transition to the league, and I mean the thing I love about Khalil Mack is, he's not just getting wastely numbers. He's making plays at the end of games when the team needs it, strip sacks, all those different things. You have to pay that man. There is nobody else on that defense that brings the fierce and the force, to that lineup every single day that's going to even appear to scare opposing teams.
Okay.
And then you talk about something else. You look at what he's been able to do. You look at the work that he's put in. And you can't pay him, but you pay a quarterback in Derek Carr. Listen, I like Derek Carr, and I think he has upside. But let's be honest, he has not been very good over the last few years.
Well, he got paid,
and he got paid like he was.
Is it Byron Morse yet?
So we're talking about a level of production.
Is there Byron Morse yet?
We're talking about a level of production that we see with Khalil Mack, and it's hard to pay him. And we pay a guy like him who's been less than impressive, especially over the last 2 years. And you have a coach in Chucky who's been out of the game for 10 years, and he comes back and he gets a 10-year, $100 million contract. Now, here's the deal. What a lot of people don't know is,
pretty good.
Because of the revenue earnings from the NFL, the Oakland Raiders are not a negative cash flow team. However, they are one of the least richest organizations in the NFL.
Okay.
So, some would say, where do we find the money to pay him? Well, you found the money to pay Derek Carr. You found the money to pay Chucky. So, you can't set a bad precedent in your organization where you're willing to pay guys who's been out of the league for 10 years, or willing to pay guys that has not been around or has not been productive over the last several years, albeit the position that they play. And then a guy like him who has been productive, who's been, fierce for your team, and you don't pay him. So they need to get this situation, rectified. And if you don't want to pay him, then trade him. Trade him to somewhere where someone will see his value. Because you know what they say, one man's trash is another man's treasure.
And I hate to say Khalil Mack is trash because he's not. Good points. John makes a good point on the Facebook dial. Thanks for chiming in that he should pay the man. And if you look at the Raiders' 2018 salary cap, I mean, their cap room is really slim to none. $7.4 million. Something. Now, of course, we're coming up on cuts, so maybe some decisions are made, but maybe I need to go to Derek Carr.
Because I know man.
Breaking news?
A little bit of breaking news that's going on right now.
Oh,
so, I hate to interrupt that diatribe that you were going
I like that. Diatribe.
But
spell that.
But a little bit of breaking news. The Browns are now looking into inquiring to, trying to acquire Khalil Mack.
You stole my thunder. I was leading with that, man.
I apologize. Can you imagine Khalil Mack and Myles Garrett? Oh my goodness. Oh
Still
my
my
goodness.
thunder, dude.
I am sorry.
I was rolling. See, you know how you bowl and you shrug your shoulders, you got your glove on, and you take your two-step. I was ready. I'm two-stepping it. I'm ready to deliver the strike.
I thought you was just cleaning a lane for me. I'm sorry.
Pity ignorance, sir. But okay, we'll deal with that. Yeah, I mean, the Browns have lost Michael Kendricks, who decided to gamble his time after trashing the Philadelphia Eagles on Hard Knocks. Check out those episodes. Check out the last episode. The Donna Sports Loser that it was a great episode. I didn't get a chance to see any of Hard Knocks.
Yes.
It's on DVR.
Very entertaining.
I'm
very
on
funny.
vacation next week, so I can, Ozark 2 has came out the season. If you're an Ozark fan, you need to catch that because that's a good series on Netflix. The season just came out.
Man, you take a lot of vacation.
You only live once. Okay. So, Khalil Mack to the Browns now. They're looking for 2 first-round picks. And a defense that already looks pretty good and rebuilt. Would you be surprised, and I hate to have this happen, would you be surprised if a guy comes out and makes a statement that's an owner, and a well-known owner throughout this NFL, and a power contributor to the NFL, who said, I'm willing to write the check to any amount of money if it can guarantee me a Super Bowl? Would you be surprised if a Jerry Jones came out and said, I would like Khalil Mack services? I'm willing to pay.
Because those pass rushers that they have, woo.
I mean, listen. Disgusting is not the word, sir. But it would be disgusting if it went to the Browns. I mean, you have a number 1 draft pick who I think is going to be a bookend in this league, who's going to be a dominant force. And just to add, the Raiders have to pay this guy. And let me get back to the numbers. Before my thunder was stolen, what was going on there? $7.4 million over. With the cap.
Yeah.
Khalil Mack is the second leading go-getter out there as far as cap-wise. $13 million. Guess who makes $25 million this year? Derek Carr. Derek Carr did not deliver last year.
No.
Say what you want. He had the weapons. He had Crabtree. Who's the second receiver?
Yeah,
Cooper. Yeah. Jared Cook. I've seen quarterbacks do more with less, and I'm not even saying Tom Brady. I've seen quarterbacks do Russell Wilson. I've seen Andy Dalton did better than him last year. No, maybe I might have gone too far. I might be going too far. The point being, they overpaid this guy too fast. Is it too late for me to get a deal? Derek Carr's come out and tweeted that he missed Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack comes out and says, I miss football. If I'm Derek Carr, do I take a pay cut to help my man get paid? Or is that too much? You tell me.
Listen.
Because, the NFL can restructure deals and give you money on the back end. And they can do things. But do the Raiders really want Khalil Mack? That's the question. Chucky has not come out and said, hey, we're lobbying for this guy. He's going to be on our team. There's been no inclination that these guys actually want Khalil Mack. And that's what's very disturbing. But is the price tag too high?
And here's the deal. I could see if Khalil Mack was a disruption, if he had off the field issues, and even to that point, I mean, as we've seen in the Cowboys here in the 90s, you know, you have production and you have tolerance, and anytime the production is high, you're going to be more tolerant to that player. But all you hear and all reports that you hear is the quality of player that Khalil Mack is on the field matches and identifies with the quality of person that he is off the field in that locker room. Everything I've heard is nothing but stand up, you know, about him. So when you have guys like that in your organization, again, it's not just about the here and now and the guys that you have in your locker room, but trying to attract and acquire marquee talent and free agents.
Right.
You want to show that you've taken care of the guys that you have in-house. What would make you want to come and join this organization that's been less than stellar, to be kind, you know, with an organization that have not necessarily shown the best precedent in terms of, you know, marquee names in the end? What would make you want to be drawn to this organization? It's showing that they take care of their own. It's showing that that you are rewarded for what you do out on the field. So if they're not going to do that with Khalil Mack, understanding the type of player he is, understanding the type of person that he is, understanding his need for that treacherous defense that we've seen for the better part of the last decade,
pretty bad
from the Raiders, then what is there to show them that they would want to play for this organization? So on so many levels, there's reason behind them wanting to give Khalil Mack, or should be reasons behind wanting them to give Khalil Mack the deal that he so rightfully deserves. And that's what separates the great organizations from the good ones, or from the not so good ones.
So, and with that being said, does Khalil Mack get paid from the Raiders, or do you see him on another team?
When it's all said and done, you know, Chucky came out and said, I love calling Chucky. This is what I do. He came out and said that, you know, if he cannot produce and if he cannot win in his organization, then he's not going to take the Raiders' money. Now, I don't know how much I believe that, because I don't know any man that's leaving 10
you were in
million.
discussions for a contract and going back and forth about the number that you wanted, but you're going to give the money back if you don't bring them. What's winning? What's winning? Because last time I checked, last year they had a bad year, but the year before that, did they win 10 wins? So is it that much you have to do to get them to a winning team? Or is he talking about win a Super Bowl? Because that's not hard. I can read between the lines. You come with a 10-win season, I'm winning. If you come with a 9-win season, guess what? I'm 0-1 game over 500. I'm winning. So what does it mean by winning? Do I have to consistently hit 9 or 10? That's nothing, Chucky. Stop playing with words. He's taking that money, and now you need to pay this man. But the crazy thing, when you look at their roster, I don't even know where their money is going to. Gabe Jackson. Oh, we know they paid the offensive lineman. Bruce Irvin. He's getting up there in age. He's making $8 million. His cap hit is $8 million. Maybe you need to see about that. You paid Jordy Nelson. He's only making, what is he making? $3.5 million.
Better minimum, yeah.
And then you got Amari. This is another. You got Amari Cooper's contract coming up. You got to pay him, or do you pay him? I'm paying Khalil Mack before I pay anybody on that team, including Amari Cooper, because you can get a receiver that does what he does in the free agency.
Which wasn't much last year. We talk about, again, production.
I mean,
what did he do?
You could get a Juju Smith-Schuster whose contract could be coming up soon. You could trade for a guy. It's receivers all over the place. But there's not that many linebackers that can play in that 3-4 role that can bring that rush off the edge. It's just something that I think the Raiders are foolish, especially in going to a new environment. You're going to Vegas. You want to have who on the Raiders roster scares you.
There's four positions. There's 4 positions when you look at marquee positions that are needed if you want your organization to be successful. We know that quarterback is number 1. Protecting the quarterback at left tackle is the other one. You have cornerback, because we're in a passing league. and one of the top things that you need in this league is an edge rusher or someone that's going to be able to get to the quarterback, because that's going to change games for defense and for organizations. Khalil Mack, Chucky said he wants to win or he's going to give the money back. You ain't winning unless you sign Khalil Mack back.
I agree.
So when you ask me, do I think if they're going to, I have to believe that at the end of the day, they're going to do what's right and pay that man. I have to believe that. I just have to believe that.
Would this change if old man was still alive running the Raiders?
Al Davis?
Would Al Davis have paid Khalil Mack?
Oh, there's no doubt about it. Oh, there is absolutely no doubt about it. You know, what is his famous slogan that everybody around the league, quotes? Win, baby, win.
That's right.
There is no winning without Khalil Mack, in this lineup. And so, I have to believe, his son has, the right wits, the cognitive understanding that that is the case. And I have to believe that they're going to get that deal done.
All right. Well, moving right along. We got some news, of course, around the NFL. We got the cut deadline coming up tomorrow. That's right, Saturday. It is a college football Saturday as well. A couple big games tomorrow. Michigan is one of them, man. Mm-hmm. Michigan, a big game. Got to watch that at 7 p.m. But cuts come up September 1st, which is tomorrow at 4 p.m. So teams are now making the decision, and we have the current list of people that have been cut, and it's going to continue to grow, perhaps during this show. Throughout the evening, no doubt. So we'll start off with the Arizona Cardinals. Scooby Wright has been cut. No surprises here. Mm-hmm. Darius Victor, Chris Campbell, Alec Bloom, Matt McCrane, and Matt Oblinger. We're going to start with notables.
Yeah.
Notables. Let's go notables. The Atlanta Falcons have caught longtime defensive cornerback Ron Parker. Baltimore, not a lot of movement there from notables. The Buffalo, Carolina, the Bears, and the Bengals have yet to make cuts. Cleveland has been pretty busy, but Jeff Janis got cut. Of course, former Green Bay Packers. Look for him. Maybe he lands back in Green Bay. They still need a couple receivers. Cleveland has made the most notable, not the most cuts. Over 12 players have already been cut from that team, along with offensive guard Anthony Fabiano. Dallas Cowboys, Cody Ealy, former defensive end of the Panthers. He just can't make it on the roster here. Eric Pickens is also the Cowboys got cut. I'm about to say, I thought I said Bobby Boucher. Packers cut their punter, Shane Legler. He got cut today. Mm-hmm. Philadelphia Eagles made. Wow, dang! Packers made a lot of cuts today. Philadelphia Eagles are on the board as well. They have cut Christian Hackenberg. That's not shocking. After a two interception outing yesterday, Billy Brown, who was a pretty favorite guy, but of course the tight end room was pretty booked. Look to see him on the practice squad.
Joe Callahan.
Yeah, Joe Callahan, which was they were camp bodies. You got your third starter in there. Your backup. There's no way these guys really beat him out. Look pretty good. Rashard Davis cannot land on this team as well. He got cut. He's been cut about 3 or 4 times in the last 3 years. The Raiders cut Farrell Brown. Not really anything shocking as far as on the cut list that I see. Michael Floyd did not make the cut there with the Saints. Talk about a guy whose career, he's only like 24, 25 years old. Talk about a guy whose career started out the gates. And now you see a guy who can't land on a team. A guy that had some issues with off the field. Of course, we're talking about Michael Floyd that used to play for the Arizona Cardinals.
How do you be on a team with Larry Fitzgerald? A guy who's one of the best that's ever done it. And he's showing you the ropes, showing you, a
guy that keeps his nose clean.
And you can't, with the talent because Michael Floyd is talented, that you can't make a roster. That says something to me. Obviously, we understand that it was reported, long reported that he's had some substance abuse issues, and of course we know he had the arrests and DUIs and different things like that. got to see, man. Definitely got to make some changes, but hopefully he can land at some point on the roster.
Absolutely. So he's looking for a new team. Any surprising cuts, Don, that you see that could happen that could be shockers?
I don't know if I would say necessarily shockers, but you look at a guy like Byron Maxwell, with the Seahawks, who, they're desperate in need of corner help and secondary help with the Legion of Boom being split up. But there are reports, even though he was there previously before, there's reports that he may be on the bubble. You look at Mike Gillislee. Now there's a lot of backs that are in. You got Burkhead, of course. You have Jeremy Hill, who looks like he's going to make the roster. Giovanni Bernard, or I'm saying not Giovanni Bernard, Sony Michel. A few different backs. James White. So it's not a. I'm not surprised, but I know that they bought them there last year to kind of be, that power back that they were looking for, and he just hasn't panned out. After a pretty hot start that he had last year. A guy like Brock Osweiler, for Miami, and they don't have much quarterback depth right now. Doesn't look like he's going to make the roster. But one of the surprises to me, and not because it's a surprise in terms of his play, he could have been cut even last year, but I think it's more so Mr. Elway admitting that he's wrong, at the quarterback position, is Paxton Lynch.
Oh.
Paxton Lynch looks like he's probably not going to make this roster.
And that's sad.
He's looked treacherous, man.
At one point, Paxton Lynch, who came into the class with Carson Wentz, Jared Goff. I'm missing another quarterback. Who came in that class? Carson Wentz, Jared Goff. I'm missing a quarterback.
Man.
Goodness gracious, it'll come to me. But when you look at Paxton, he was up in that class. Mm-hmm. Some people were saying that this guy should be picked ahead of Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz, small town guy, coming out of playing for the Bisons. Didn't get enough. It was Jared Goff that made headlines. It was Paxton Lynch because of the different divisions that they played in. And we see how it turned out. And now you're just looking at he could not be on a roster. How the tides turn. How the tides turn there. But when you talk about cuts, I'm staying in Seattle. It's not a foregone conclusion that Brandon Marshall's on this team.
Yeah.
A guy that's, of course, journeyed in New York. He's been with Miami. He's been with Denver. Of course, his best years were in Denver. So he's been on a couple teams. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a Brandon Marshall get cut.
Yeah. Another big one, coming out of Dallas, and there was a lot of high hopes for this young man, but with all the talent, two-player sport, just really. Or two-sport player.
John never really. Sean Kaiser. That was another guy. Okay. Thanks, John.
Another one that we thought would stick, but Rico Gathers at the tight end position. When you look at the fact that
did he get cut?
He's on the bubble.
He's on the bubble.
He's on the bubble.
And our friend Sean is raving about Gathers.
Yeah, and a lot of people have been.
He's the next Witten.
When you look at the fact that they don't have Witten, he was poised to supposed to have had a big season. With a Dak Prescott and that running game and offensive line, but other than being a really good athlete, there's not much that he's adding, and they talk about his inability to be able to block, on the line of scrimmage. So he could be a guy that could be out of there. You look at a guy like Matt Barkley,
oh my gosh,
second round quarterback for Cincinnati this year, and he just can't seem to. You remember when he was in USC and he was supposed to be the heir apparent to everybody great coming in the league, and he just has not been, picked by Chip Kelly, for the Eagles.
Chip of the old block there.
And just has not been able to make it. And, another name, that may not be able to make it, unfortunately, and he got dinged up a little bit in the preseason, Samaje Perine, especially with the, addition of Adrian Peterson. There's not a guarantee that he's going to be able to make this roster as well. Obviously, Cordell Patterson, former Ohio State Buckeye. They say he may have one of the strongest arms on the roster, but right now he's being beat out by Geno Smith. So, we'll have to see how that ends. Will he be able to make that roster in Los Angeles, to help that team?
Also around the league, it looks like, of course, there was a change of quarterbacks from, they paid him a lot of money. The Jets moved Teddy Bridgewater so he's on the move again, moved from Minnesota to the Jets, got a third round pick in exchange, but they paid him a boatload of money. He got a signing bonus, pretty hefty, and he gets traded to New Orleans Saints, backing up Drew Brees, which I think is a really good situation for him. We thought New Orleans would probably be in the runnings for the guy that landed over there in Baltimore, Lamar Jackson, and they wound up going defensive end in the draft and let him, of course, go on to Baltimore. What do you think about the signing of Teddy Bridgewater? Not the signing, actually working on an extension with Teddy Bridgewater as well. So, what do you think about this being the quarterback of the future for New Orleans? I mean, it's a different feel. I really think he can play in this game. I think he is a starting quarterback, but I also think RG3 is a starting quarterback. And I believe, rewinding back, that he's going to make the roster as well with Baltimore. If not, he should be, if not a backup, definitely a backup. To quote John Harbaugh in Baltimore, he should be a starter, but he's undoubtedly a backup.
Yes,
he can play that role. But what do you think about Teddy Bridgewater in New Orleans learning behind a Drew Brees for 1 or maybe 2 years?
I mean, I like Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, he hasn't been a quarterback that has been, has wowed you since he's come into the league, but out of Louisville. But he's been steady Eddie. I think he has like 28 touchdowns and 22 interceptions, in his career. Mm-hmm. So nothing, astronomical. However, he's been steady. His completion percentage has climbed each year. We understand the horrific knee injury, so I was fighting for him to get back in the NFL. Great to see that he's finally healthy again. Mm-hmm. When you look at the Saints, now, if you're telling me that Drew Brees is going to be done this year, after this year, then I think it makes sense, to give up a third-round pick. But if he's not, and he's going to fulfill the lifetime of this deal that he just got, the 2 years, $50 million, which the only way he doesn't get that is if he retires, mm-hmm. which he very, may do. Then I don't understand that, giving up a third round pick, when you're going for it with the aging quarterback, he's 39 now, you could use that third pick to bring in somebody on the offense or defense that's valuable to go along with him. Not to mention, when you look at the draft that they did, they traded up. Remember, they traded that first round pick for next year. Mm-hmm. They traded that to move up in this past draft to take a project defensive tackle. Well, no, we all thought they were going to get Lamar Jackson. And then you trade away your third round pick this year, which third round picks are obviously very valuable in this league, to get a Teddy Bridgewater. I don't understand that direction there. So, unless they've had some kind of conversation with Drew Brees and he's letting them know that this may be the swan song, I don't really understand, that move that they made there.
And it could be something because a high percentage of Drew Brees' passes were 20 yards or less, mm-hmm. Which that's not something we're accustomed to seeing with a Drew Brees. He's definitely a guy that unleashes the cannon down the field. So it's something that they may be seeing in training camp, and I know he's taking the first team reps and different things like that, but it could be something. Listen, the coaches know what they see what they see, mm-hmm. and Father Time is undefeated. As great as LeBron James is, mm-hmm. Father Time, he's not going to be Father Time. Yeah. It's not caught up to him yet, but it will eventually catch him. So we'll see there. And, we forgot Dak Prescott. My man John is all over the place over there. I like John. Dak Prescott.
Thanks, John.
Dak Prescott was another guy that was up there, but he wasn't as rated as high as these other quarterbacks. Paxton Lynch was above him as far as rating at the quarterback position. So, yeah, man, a lot of different things transpiring there with some different moves there. Another cut that could be surprising. Let's go out to the quarterback position is so easy to get a handle on because there's so many. I mean, there's guys that's going in here with 4 or 5 quarterbacks. But a shocker. This could be a shocker. But I'm looking the way the salary is in Baltimore. Could you see a T Sizzle get cut?
No.
Could you see a T Sizzle get cut? I'm just saying. Listen, in Baltimore, I've seen them get rid of Ed Reed because of salary issues. I've seen some different things. Could a T Sizzle get cut?
There's no way in the world. T Sizzle, is an absolute freak because even at his age, he's still one of the premier pass rushers in this game. He's a lot like Julius Peppers, who both are long at the tooth but are still very productive even at their age. Baltimore, if their defense is going to have any kind of identity of getting after the quarterback and toughness and physicalness, it's going to be with Terrell Suggs on that roster. I don't see there's any way that he's getting cut.
Oh, well, listen, when you look at, and funny thing, look at the free agent list right now. You got Jeremy Maclin still out there, has no job.
Maybe he's like Dez and he's waiting to pick up on a team later after they see some of the roster spots that could open.
Speaking of Dez, he has yet to get on an NFL team, and I tell you, he's doing more harm to his legacy than ever. How about him? I know he wish he can go back and rewind the hands of time and accept that Baltimore Ravens deal, which was a pretty lucrative deal, and then getting lowballed by the Cleveland Browns for less than $5 million. Does Dez get on the team now or mid-season, Donnie?
I think Dez will probably find himself on a roster. It'll be after week 1. Part of the reason why Dez is not on a roster right now really is his own doing. He's turned down a deal reportedly from the Browns. He's turned down a deal reportedly from the Ravens. And who else? Who knows who else he's had potential suitors for that he's turned down or really didn't even take an opportunity to meet him. But I think Dez will absolutely meet or make it onto a team. I just think at this particular point, Dez is waiting to see the perfect opportunity. There is no perfect opportunity. There is no opportunity for Dez to wait for camp bodies, because here's the deal. The really good players that are in the NFL, they're on a roster right now.
Good point.
So, Dez, I'm not sure what you're doing. I think you need to back off of Twitter, back off of, hitting send, and really just continue to work on your craft, and who am I to really tell Dez Bryant what to do?
Well, speaking of Twitter, Jalen Ramsey continues to run his mouth. And I love it. I love it. And, Jalen Ramsey, if not this year, he proved that he can play. He proved he can play in this league. He's elite. And I think back to when the Dallas Cowboys, when Deion Sanders was interviewing Jalen Ramsey. Actually, the pick before that. So the Cowboys had what? 4th? They had 4th pick?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're interviewing who got picked 3rd. Who got picked 3rd? It was Goff, Wentz. It was an N, I believe it was, and then came the Cowboys pick. And Deion Sanders running off the mouth. This is guy. We're getting Jalen Mills here. Jalen Mills. We're getting Jalen Ramsey. This is a perfect fit. We have an empty spot at the cornerback position. This is a guy that's going to come in and instantly make an impact. And they go with Zeke, which is not a bad. It's not a bad move if he can stay out of trouble.
Yeah.
But Jalen Ramsey had a chip on his shoulder then for not being a number 1 pick, because he was rated. They actually had him rated at maybe the 1 or 2, but because of the situation with the Rams, when the Rams jumped up, of course that let everybody know that there was going to be a quarterback taken. So with that being said, Jalen Ramsey is backing up what he's saying, and I don't have any problem with that, because if you're going to walk the walk, you better talk the talk. So if you're going to talk the talk, you better walk the walk. And I'm seeing him do that, so I don't have anything against Jalen Ramsey talking. Tony Dungy, the great Tony Dungy, of course, who won a Super Bowl and is going down and is one of the best coaches that ever played a game. That ever coached a game. Said that somebody needs to tell him to dial it down. For what? Who is he hurting? Is he painting a target on the Jaguars' back? Why? Because they're already a target. Because they went toe to toe with the New England Patriots and arguably should have won the game. So with that being said, what do you think about Jalen Ramsey's comments, and does he need $1 back?
You know what, Jalen Ramsey, we already knew what he was coming out of Florida State. Jalen Ramsey is a very boisterous, outspoken player, and here's the difference between him and Dez.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Ramsey, comes out. We understand that he's actually got suspended. I don't know if it was been rescinded, but he got suspended for a game for being outspoken against the media and things of that nature. But that's the first.
It was
time.
A whole game.
I think he's got suspended the entire game for
Wow.
for the first game for that. But Jalen Ramsey is a player that he backs up his talk.
Mm-hmm.
He'll talk about we went through in our last show the various quarterbacks that he talked about and all the things that the ones he thought was okay and this and that. He did like Carson Wentz. He did say that Carson Wentz.
He's okay. Maybe that's why I like him.
But Jalen Ramsey is a guy that's going to he's trying to create a culture and an identity for that team. The Jacksonville Jaguars were pedestrian prior to him getting there. And there's some other ones, Mal Jack, Calais Campbell, of course, Malik Jackson, Bouye, a lot of different, people that they brought into that very, very stout defense. Mm-hmm. But he is no doubt the boisterous and the vocal, one and leader. But they all take that as motivation and they kind of rally behind Jalen Ramsey, as opposed to being ostracized and saying you're writing a check that you can't cash. And he backs up that play on the field. So to answer your question, I like Jalen Ramsey coming out and talking. I like the headlines. I like, being able to watch his matchup week in and week out, and to see, some of those personal battles. Now, I don't want to see anything like happen between, Josh Norman and Odell Beckham,
Mm-hmm.
take place on the field where it's just taken away from the game. But, and he had a little bit of that with A.J. Green, we know, last year and stuff like that. But I like seeing those type battles. I like seeing those things happen, in camp. And so, I like him talking.
Hey, listen. I'm sorry, I'm reading the comments. T-Sizzle. Too close to hardball. That's a good point. T-Sizzle is too close to hardball. Shout out to John out there, man. He said, Anita's making a comment. She said, we're in the locker room, Anita. What are you talking about? We're in. But, I don't know. Like I said, I think there's going to be some more surprising cuts there. There's going to be some more surprising cuts there. I really think... and I hope Dez gets on the team. And like I said, going back to Jalen Ramsey, I don't mind it. Mm-hmm. It's going to be an exciting game. He came out now. He said Gronk is not as good as he thinks he is. Playing with Tom Brady. Playing with Tom Brady.
A lot of hot takes.
Yeah. So I mean, it's something to be said, man. Listen, the NFL is back Thursday night. The Philadelphia Eagles will host the Atlanta Falcons.
We won't be back here until the start of the week. The first week has come.
Yeah, so
we're here the day
and we could cover. We could talk the Eagles.
We
How
will
about
talk.
that?
We will. Talk.
Oh, we will talk the Eagles. Who you got? Who you got?
Listen, I think this is going to be a game that's very, very similar to the NFC Championship the playoff game that they had last year. Still in Philly, still going up against a high-powered offense. We know they had some additions now this year with Calvin Ridley. We understand those running backs who absolutely destroyed us last year in the run game, in that playoff game. But I think that this team is going to be more suited now than they were last year. When you look at some of the additions like Haloti Ngata, when you look at some of the additions like Michael Bennett, I think they're going to be a lot more, forceful in the run game, stopping the run. I mean, Fletcher Cox, as good as he was last year, just looks like another person, half step faster. So I think that's going to be good. I believe that the Philadelphia Eagles are not going to be, as fluid offensively, obviously, as they will be next year. But I do believe that they are going to pull out this game. I'm calling Philadelphia Eagles in a close game.
Okay.
21-24.
Well, Don, I disagree. I'm just looking at the elements. I'm looking at, as much as I would like to say the Philadelphia Eagles are going to win this game, I think they're going to come up short. I think they're going to lose 24-17. Falcons. And I'm going to say, because there's a lot going on. You got Nigel Bradham suspended for the first game. That's a big loss. With a team that can run the ball as effectively as the Atlanta Falcons. You add in the element that the fact that the last time they came to Philadelphia, they lost on a last-minute drop, and it was a drop by Julio Jones. Didn't see in the Philadelphia Eagles, the banner's going to be dropped, the banner's going to be lifted. So pandemonium. The city is going to be on fire, and I just don't think they'll be able to. This is despite if Carson Wentz starts or if Nick Foles starts. I don't think they'll be able to pull this game out, and I'm fine with that because as an Eagle fan, there's 16 games. This game
can't win them all.
And I know you beg to differ. You like the Eagles in this game. I just think they're going to fall a little bit short. In this game, folks.
If it was in Atlanta, I would feel a lot differently. But because it's in Philly, because they're going to be flying high, because this defense is going to be, living in the backfield, shaking Matt Ryan's hand as they take the ball out of it, I believe that it's just going to be too much to overcome. I think that they're going to get physical with Julio Jones from the get-go. Now, he's going to get his numbers. There's no doubt about it.
Okay.
I expect Julio Jones to be over 150 yards, a touchdown or two. But I think at the end of the day, they are going to just set the precedent early. You will see a turnover, maybe two, from Matty Ice, one that'll be crucial at the end of the game that could really, really, seal the victory for the Eagles. I think because this is going to be in Philadelphia, this is why I give the Eagles the edge.
Well, folks, listen, it's been lovely. Thank you for turning us our third broadcast. We'll be back here. We'll be back here. Next Friday. Next Friday, same bad time, same bad channel. And once again, shout out to CEO Whip. Shout out. Check us out on the website, TSJ101sports.com for all your latest and greatest news. Check us out. Follow me at the Birdman78 on your Twitter. Follow the Donna Sports at Child of God.
Yes, at the Child of God.
At the Child of God, and we'll give you all the latest and greatest news. We got to throw some poll questions, Don. We used to do poll questions for Blog Talk. We need to start doing poll questions for outside the locker room.
How else is everybody going to be able to have opportunity to win that great merchandise that we have, at TSJ 101 Sports?
I don't know. Matter of fact, we got to throw a poll question out. No. We got to think of a poll question, dude. Yeah. We got to bring it back. But we'll see you same bad time, same bad channel next week, 7 to 8, folks. We're out of here.